Hey, welcome back to Woodshop Wednesdays out here on the 85 CJ7 repair and repaint process. And so now comes the fun stuff. This panel, we actually started already working on it, jumped the gun, but when the accident happened on the right front fender that's not there, the impact was enough to actually buckle this portion here right under where it says Jeep. So this is actually high, and this area right here is actually low, and you can tell that by looking at it. But even more extreme when you use this thing right here. This is a machined tool that I use in woodworking for checking flatness of boards. Anyway, it's completely flat, and if you notice, let me turn this around. If you notice, there is a lot of daylight right there. You can see where it starts to make contact with the metal. There's no daylight there. There's a lot of daylight right there, and it's actually all the way back. So this, some of it could have already been there. In any case, the objective now is to hammer and dolly this to get it out as much as possible to minimize the amount of filler that's going to have to be used. This is looking pretty good. And come down here, it's still looking okay. There you go. You're seeing, I'm going to try to get my camera right. You see my finger down there, right? That's daylight that you do not want, because this is supposed to be completely flat. So basically what I've got to do is I've got to hammer this in some with a dolly on the backside to support the body hammer, so you don't just put a bunch of dents in it. So I get that in so it's a little lower there and get it flattened. And this area here, and all the way back even into here, all of that's got to come out. If I don't bring it out as much as I can first, then that means I got to put more filler in there, and I don't want the filler to be very thick at all. You usually only want filler there just to kind of finesse the panel, not to try to, even though it's called filler, you don't want to fill it up with that and risk having that crack out. So this is my body panel repair kit that I've put together. It's got all my heat sinks and stuff like that from the welding and all that. Little clamps. These little clamps that I used for holding panels in place. Because on the first go around, and you can actually see right here, this portion of the rocker, I think it's from here forward, somewhere into here, I actually made that panel, and it's got a little bit of a lip on the bottom of it, and welded it in. There was another portion of it that was patch welded in down here. If I remember correctly, I ended up replacing this whole rear quarter panel, as well as the, I don't know what they call this panel back here, but that's a new piece. I didn't replace this one. In hindsight, I should have, but I've got a little bit of work to do here. I did replace this. I cut and patch welded in this piece here. That's for the tire carrier latches. Let's see. Yeah, I replaced this one too. Anyhow, the rockers have to have portions of them replaced also. So instead of doing the whole thing, I just cut whatever cancer was there out and made a new piece. Same here. So you can sort of see my welds there from the body work last time. But in any case, what I'm going to show you here are the dolly and hammer tools. So there's one. I believe that was one that Claude had bought for the last project on the truck. This is probably the hammer I'll be using. And then there's a few different dollies that I have that are profiled differently depending on the metal you're working with, but these are very heavy, nice stout pieces that you hold in your hand. There's another one. You know, they're contoured so you can get into different places as needed. You can see this one has a radius to it, as well as a flat side. Some, you know, just odd shapes. And so what I'll do is I'll get in behind here, right back in here, and I'll dolly that down or inward. On this one here, I'll put the dolly itself on the outside and hammer from the inside. So, and then it's just a laborious process of working the panel to try to get it out and as flat as I can. So here we go. Okay, I got this worked out pretty good at this point. It's definitely out more this way now than it was before. What I'm finding is that this gets really high in through here. So if I stick the straight edge on it, if I stay back behind that and look at it, it's pretty good. You see a little bit of daylight right there because of the filler that's missing, but it's when you get over here and you start looking at it that you see more of a gap. I don't know if you can see that or not, but so the problem isn't mainly, you know, from here over to here is pretty good. You know, once I'm gonna have to take a grinder, angle grinder with a grinding wheel and grind all this body filler off. This was a repair that I made. Fortunately, it wasn't rusting, but I'm not going about it that way, putting filler over top of metal. I don't know why. I think somebody told me you can do that, but I guess you can technically, but that's not the preferred way to do it. Learn as you go. But anyway, you can see here, obviously, that's a cut piece. I have to investigate that weld a little bit, make sure it's still good. I think it is, but anyway, I'll get that body filler ground off of there. And I think I'm gonna use this dead blow hammer to try to get that to come out more, because it'll minimize any kind of marks that I might leave in the panel from the backside. Here, I'll have to do the same kind of thing, I think, and just try to get this area to come down a little bit. You know, as much as I can. Truth be known, this was probably up higher and this lower even before the accident happened. So I'm probably actually making this situation better than it was even before the first time. So I'll get it as close as I can, and then you know, like I said, I'll wipe everything down, and then I'm going to put a coat of epoxy primer on it, and then do some fiberglass filler. Now you can go as much as 1/8 of an inch thick, maybe even more on the fiberglass filler, but I really don't want to do that. I really don't want to get any thicker than what I've done here, which, you know, with a fiberglass type filler, that's not too thick. That's not going to crack on you under normal circumstances. So the only reason it cracked here is because I was beating on it, obviously. But anyway, I mean, you can see there's a little bit of fiberglass filler right there and there. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and get going on getting this filler off of there with a grinding wheel. Okay, I've hammered and dollied on this for about an hour now, and it's pretty straight. It's definitely a lot better than it was. It was high over here, so I knocked that back. There was a little bit of a high spot right here, which was a little bit of a weld seam, and I knocked that back a little bit. It was low down through here and even into here. But if you look down the panel now, to the naked eye, it's fairly straight. So it's workable. Still not perfect, but I think given where it came from and where it is now, it's definitely a lot better. If you come here, I'm not seeing, there's a little bit of daylight there. It's really this area right here, starting where the Jeep embossing is, back over into here. This is where it gets low. Now, this right here, I believe that on the other side of that, that's where I welded a pillar. I'm gonna have to do some etching on this side of it here, fast etch, as well as this area here. There's some stuff up in here. That'll preclude any further rusting, but obviously that's way too thin to try to weld a piece in there. So I'm gonna fiberglass that, you know, and that'll be okay, because there's support behind it. If there wasn't any support behind it, I'd have to cut it out and patch weld. But there is, the actual pillar is behind there that I made from the last time. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah, that pillar right there. So that is supporting it from the back side, so I'll be able to fiberglass fill that. And even here, this is a weld, so it'll be okay. It's not really moving. It's not going anywhere. So there is going to be a skim coat of filler definitely along here, just like before. But before I do that, I'm going to finish sanding this and prepping it and getting it ready for a coat of epoxy primer. So that's kind of the stage I'm at now. Okay, this is what was behind it. So now I remember. All of this metal is good up and through here. I did have to put a patch in right here, as you can see, and then a patch over here. Yeah, went right to there. This down here it's rusted, but it's not rusted all the way through. And while I could cut that out and replace it, maybe, I don't know, maybe right here, go up to there, I would be running into this weld that I already did. In order to get it far enough, I'd have to come over to here. Rather than to do that, I think what I'm going to do is do the fast edge stuff here, same process, and convert that so that it doesn't rust anymore, and then fiberglass over it, and keep my fingers crossed. That's kind of taking the easy way out, but I think it'll be just fine as long as I get this rust stopped. You can see again where it converted here, but I didn't get it back into there, so that's what I need to make sure I get it back into. So, all right, here we go. Okay, I got all that taken care of now, so pretty confident that it's going to be okay. Now I shouldn't have any breakthroughs on this because you can see that it's turned black. It's reformed, rust reformed as they call it. So now I'm going to put a couple coats of epoxy primer on everything, and then let it cure for a few days. Okay, there it is. Got 2 coats of epoxy primer on it. So now I'm going to let it sit for several days at least before I start doing any of the body work and finessing. Obviously, you can see areas that are going to need it, but that's not the purpose of the epoxy. It's just to kind of seal up the metal and everything before you start doing work. So obviously down here where I put in that patch, that's going to need to be hit with fiberglass. I'm going to run fiberglass all the way down it. As you can see down there, that repair area too. The black really brings out everything, which is good. That's what you want. So starting down there, I'm going to do a whole skim coat of fiberglass filler all the way down through there, and then start block sanding. So that'll you know, get it on the way to being flat and ready for the high build primer. And so yeah, this is just getting into the fun stuff now. So 2 coats of epoxy, let it sit and cure for probably 3 or 4 or 5 days before I start doing anything else on it. But all right, we'll catch you guys next time.